And yeah, I think everybody knows the usual drill: cameras off when you're off, and microphones, and try and remember to switch them on. But obviously, yeah, accidents happen. But yeah, have fun. I suppose I should do a little introduction to the start of the recording. Hello and welcome to Chaos Theatre Collective's reading of Romeo and Juliet. It should be a 90-minute script. We'll see how that goes. I will be reading the chorus, and I hope you enjoy the show. Two households, both alike in dignity. In fair Verona, where we lay our scene, from ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured, piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love, and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage, the which if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
Gregory, on my word, will not carry coals.
No, but then we should be colliers.
I mean, if we be in collar, we'll draw.
Aye, while you live, draw your neck out of the collar.
I strike quickly, being moved.
But thou art not quickly moved to strike.
The dog of the house of Montague moves me.
To move is to stir, and to be valiant is to stand. Therefore, if thou art moved, thou runst away.
The dog of that house shall move me to stand. I will take the wall of any man or maid of Montague's.
That shows thee a weak slave for the weakest. A weakling goes to the wall.
'Tis true, and therefore women, be the weaker vessels, are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore, I will push Montague's men from the wall and thrust his maids to the wall.
The quarrels between our masters and us, their men.
'Tis all one. I will show myself a tyrant. When I have fought with the men, I will be civil with the maids and cut off their heads.
The heads of the maids?
Aye, the heads of the maids, or their maiden heads. Take it in what sense thou wilt.
They must take it in sense that feel it.
Me they shall feel while I am able to stand, and 'tis known I am a pretty piece of flesh.
'Tis well thou art not fish. Thou hadst been poor John. Oh, draw light, tool. Here comes to the house of Montagues.
My naked weapon is out. Coral, I will back thee.
Out turn thy back and run?
Fear me not.
No, Mary, I fear thee.
Let us take the law on our side. Let them begin.
I will frown as I pass by and let them take it as they list.
Nay, as they dare. I will bite my thumb at them, which is a disgrace to them if they bear it.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
I do bite my thumb, sir.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
Is the law on our side if I say aye?
No.
No, sir. I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir.
Do you quarrel, sir?
Quarrel, sir.
But
No,
if you
sir.
do, sir, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you.
No better?
Well, sir.
Say better. Here comes one of my master's kinsmen.
Yes, better.
You lie.
Draw if you be men. Gregory, remember thy washing blow.
Heart fools, put up your swords. You know not what you do. Put the.
What art thou drawn amongst these heartless hens? Turn thee, Julio. Look upon thy death.
I do but keep the peace. Put up thy sword, or manage to part these men with me.
What? Drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell, all Montagues, and thee! How about thee, coward?
What noise is this?
Bills and partisans.
Give me my longsword, ho!
A crutch. Why call you for a sword?
My sword, I say. Old Montague has come and flourishes his blade in spite of me.
Thou villain, Capulet! Hold me not, let me go!
Thou shalt not stir 1 foot to seek a foe.
Rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbor's stained steel. Are they not here? What ho, you men, you beasts that quench the fire of your pernicious rage with purple fountains issuing from your veins, on pain of torture. From those bloody hands, throw your mistempered weapons to the ground and hear the sentence of your moved prince. 3 civil brawls, bred of an airy word, by thee, old Capulet, and Montague have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets, and made Verona's ancient citizens cast by their grave beseeming ornaments to wield old partisans, as in hands as old, cankered with peace, to part your cankered hate. If ever you disturb our streets again, your lives shall pay the forfeit of the peace. For this time, all the rest depart away. You, Capulet, shall go along with me, and Montague, come you this afternoon to know our further pleasure in the case. To old Freetown, our common judgment place. Once more, on pain of death, all men depart.
Who set this ancient quarrel new abroach? Speak, nephew. Were you by when it began?
Here were the servants of your adversary, and yours close fighting ere I did approach. I drew to part them. In the instant came the fiery Tybalt with his sword prepared, which, as he breathed defiance to my ears, he swung about his head and cut the winds who, nothing but withal, hissed him in scorn. While we were interchanging thrusts and blows, came more and fought on port and part, till the prince came who parted either part.
Oh, where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am that he was not at this fray.
Madam, an hour before the worshipped sun peered forth the golden window of the east, a troubled mind drove me to walk abroad, where underneath the grove of sycamore that westward rooteth from the city side, so early walking did I see your son. And towards him I made, but he was ware of me, and stole into the covert of the wood. I, measuring his affections by my own, when thence most sought where most might not be found, being one too many by my weary self, pursued my humor, not pursuing his, and gladly shunned who gladly fled from me.
Many a morning hath he there been seen, with tears augmenting the fresh morning dew, adding to clouds more clouds with his deep sighs. But all so soon as the all-cheering sun should in the furthest east begin to draw the shady curtains from Aurora's bed, away from the light steals home my heavy son, and private in his chamber pens himself, shuts up his windows, locks fair daylight out, and makes himself an artificial night. Black and portentous must his humour prove, unless some good counsel may the cause remove.
My noble uncle, do you know the cause?
I neither know it nor can learn of him.
Have you importuned him by any means?
Both by myself and many other friends. But he, his own affections' counsellor, is to himself, I will not say how true, but to himself so secret and so close, so far from sounding and discovery, as is the bud bit with an envious worm ere he can spread his sweet leaves to the air, or dedicate his beauty to the sun. Could we but learn from whence his sorrows grow, we would as willingly give cure as know.
See where he comes. So please you, step aside. I'll know his grievance or be much denied.
I would thou wert so happy by thy stay to hear true shrift. Come, madam, let's away.
Good morrow, cousin.
Is the day so young?
But news struck 9.
Ay me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went in so fast?
It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which having makes them short.
In love?
Out.
Out of love.
Out of her favor where I am in love.
Alas, that love, so gentle in his view, should be so tyrannous and rough in proof.
Alas, that love whose view is muffled still should, without eyes, see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, oh brawling love, oh loving hate, oh anything of nothing first create, oh heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep that is not what it is. This love I feel, that feel no love in this. Dost thou not laugh?
No, cuz I'd rather weep.
Good heart at what?
At thy good heart's oppression.
Why, such is love's transgression. Griefs of mine, moan, lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed. Which more of thine, this love that thou hast shown, doth add more grief to much of mine own. Love's a smoke made with the fume of sighs, being purged, a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed, a sea nourished with loving tears. What is else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet? Farewell, my coz.
Soft. I will go along, and if you leave me so, you do me wrong.
Tut, I've lost myself. I'm not here. This is not Romeo. He is some other where.
Tell me in sadness, who is it that you love?
What shall I groan and tell thee?
Groan? I know, but sadly, tell me who.
Bid a sick man in sadness make his will, a word but ill urged to one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman.
I aimed so near when I supposed you loved.
Oh, right good marksman. And she's fair, I love.
A right fair mark, fair cuz, as soonest hit.
Well, in that hit you miss. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Dian's wit, and in strong proof of chastity well armed. Of love's weak childish bow, she lives uncharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bade the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saint seducing gold. Oh, she is rich in beauty, only poor that when she dies, with beauty dies her store.
Then she hath sworn that she will live chaste?
She hath, and in that sparing makes huge waste. For beauty, starved with her severity, cuts beauty off from all posterity. She is too fair, too wise, wisely too fair, to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead, that live to tell it now.
Be ruled by me. Forget to think of her.
Oh, teach me how I should forget to think.
By giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties.
'Tis the way to call her exquisite, in question more. These happy masks that kiss fair ladies' brows, being black, puts us in mind. They hide the fair, but he that is stricken blind cannot forget. the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note, where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell. Thou canst not teach me to forget.
I'll pay that doctrine, or else die in debt.
Montague is bound, as well as I, in penalty alike, and 'tis not hard, I think, for men so old as we to keep the peace.
Of honorable reckoning are you both, and pity 'tis you lived at odds so long. But now, my lord, what say you to my suit?
Saying o'er what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. She hath not seen the change of 14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her right to be a bride.
Younger than she, our happy mother's maid.
And too soon marred are those so early made. The earth hath swallowed all my hopes, but she is the hopeful lady of my earth. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part. And she agreed, within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice. This night I hold an old accustomed feast, whereto I have invited many a guest, such as I love, and you among the store. One more, most welcome, makes my number more. At my poor house look to behold this night, earth-treading stars that make dark heaven light. Such comfort as do lusty young men feel when well-apparelled April on the heel of limping winter treads. Even such delight among fresh female buds shall you this night inherit at my house. Hear all see, and like her most, where whose most merit shall be, which on more view of many, mine being one, may stand in number, though in reckoning none. Come, go with me. Go, Sirrah. Trudge about through fair Verona, but find those persons out whose names are written here, and to them say, my house, and welcome at their pleasure stay.
Find them out whose names are written here. It is written that the shoemaker should meddle with his yard, and the tailor with his last, the fisher with his pencil, and the painter with his nets. But I am sent to find those persons whose names are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. I must to the learned. In good time.
Tut, man. One fire burns out, another's burning. One pain is lessened by another's anguish. Turn giddy, and be helped by backward turning. One desperate grief cures another's anguish. Take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die.
Your plantain leaf is excellent for that.
For what, I pray thee?
For your broken shin.
Why, Romeo, art thou mad?
Not mad, but bound more than a madman is. Shut up in prison, kept without my food, whipped and tormented, and good evening, good fellow.
God, good evening. I pray, sir, can you read?
I, mine own fortune in my misery.
Perhaps you have learned it without book. I pray, can you read anything you see?
I, if I know the letters and the language.
You say honestly, rest you merry.
Say, fellow, I can read. Signor Martino and his wife and daughters, County Anselm and his beauteous sisters, the lady widow of Vitruvio, Signor Placento and his lovely nieces, Mercutio and his brother Valentine, my own uncle Capulet, his wife and daughters, my fair niece Rosaline, and Olivia, Signor Valentino and his cousin Tybalt, Lucio and the lively Helena, a fair assembly. Whither should they come?
Up.
Whither? To supper?
To our house.
Whose house?
My master's.
Oh, indeed, I should have asked you that before.
Now I'll tell you without asking. My master is the great rich Capulet, and if you be not of the house of Montagues, I pray. I pray, come and crush a cup of wine. Rest you merry.
This same ancient feast of Capulets sups the fair Rosaline, whom thou so loves, with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither with unattained eye, compare her face with some that I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow.
When the devout religion of mine eye maintained such falsehood, then turned tears to fires. And these who often drowned could never die, transparent heretics be burnt for liars. One fairer than my love? The all-seeing sun ne'er saw her match, since first the world begun.
Tut. You saw her fair, none else being by, herself poised with herself in either eye. But in that crystal scales let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid, that I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now seems best.
I'll go along. No such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in splendor of mine own.
Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth.
No, by my maidenhead at 12-year-old, I bade her come. What lamb, what lady bird? God forbid, God forbid. Where is this girl? What Juliet?
Oh no. Who calls?
Your mother.
Oh. Madam, I'm here. What is your will?
This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. Oh, nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou's hear our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age.
Faith, I can tell her age into an hour.
She's not 14.
I'll lay 14 of my teeth, and yet to my teen be it spoken, I have but 4. She's not 14. How long is it now to Lammastide?
A fortnight and odd days.
Even or odd of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest her, all Christian souls were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me. But as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That shall she. Mary, I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned, I shall never forget this, of all days of the year upon that day, for I had lain wormwood to my dove, sitting in the sun under the dove house wall. My lord and you were then at Mendoca. Nay, do I bear a brain? But as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dug, it felt bitter, pretty fool, to see a Techian fall out with the dug. Sheik, quoth the dove house, 'twas no need, I trow, to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years, for then she could stand alone. Nay, by the rood, she could have run and waddled all about, for even the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, he was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Wilt thou fall backward when thou hast more wit? Wilt thou not, Jewel? And my holy dame, that pretty wretch, left crying and said, I, to see now how a jest shall come about, I warned if I should live 1,000 years, I should never forget it. Wilt thou not, Jewel? Quoth he. And the pretty fool it stinted and said,
Enough of this. I pray thee hold thy peace.
Yes, madam, yet I cannot choose but laugh. To think it should leave crying and say, Aye, and yet I warned it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone, a perilous knock, and it cried bitterly. Yea, quoth my husband, fall'st upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou comest to age. Wilt thou not, Jewel? It stinted and said, Aye.
And stint thou too, I pray thee. Nurse, say I.
Peace, I have done. God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed. And I might live to see thee married once, I have my wish.
Mary, that Mary is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married?
It's an honor that I dream not of.
An honor? Were not I thine only nurse, I would say thou hast stuck wisdom from thy teat.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
A man, young lady. Lady, such a man. As all the world, why he is a man of wax.
Verona's summer hath not such a flower.
Nay, he's a flower in faith, a very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read o'er the volume of young Paris' face, and find delight there writ with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another lends content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margent of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory that in gold clasps locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less.
No less? Nay, bigger. Women grow by men.
Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris love?
I'll look to like, if looking liking move, but no more deep will I endart my eye, than your consent gives me strength to make it fly.
Madam, the guests are come, supper served up. You called my young lady asked for, the nurse cursed in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait. I beseech you, follow straight.
We follow thee.
Go, girl, seek happy nights to happy days.
What shall this speech be spoke for our excuse, or shall we go in without apology?
The date is out of such proximity. We'll have no Cupid hoodwinked with a scarf, bearing a Tartar's painted bow of Bach, scaring the ladies like a crow keeper, nor no without book prologue faintly spoke after the prompter for our entrance, but let them measure us by what they will. We'll measure them a measure and be gone.
Give me a torch. I am not for this ambling. Being but heavy, I will bear the light.
Nay, gentle Romeo, we must have you a dance.
Not I, believe me. You have dancing shoes with nimble soles. I have a soul of lead, so stakes me to the ground, I cannot move.
You are a lover. Borrow Cupid's wings and soar with them beyond a common bound.
I am too sore and pierced with his shaft, to soar with his light feathers, and so bound I cannot bound a pitch above dull woe. Under love's heavy burden do I sink.
And to sink in it should you burden love. Too great oppression for such a tender thing.
Is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like a thorn.
If love be rough with you, then be rough with love. Prick love for pricking, and beat love down. Give me a case to put my visage in. A visor for a visor. What care I, what curious eye doth coat deformities? Here are my beetle brows shall blush for me.
Come, knock and enter, and no sooner in, but every man betake him to legs.
A torch for me. Let wantons light of heart tickle the senseless rushes with their heels. For I am proverbed in a grandsire phase, I'll be a candle holder and look on. The game was ne'er so fair, and I am done.
Tut, done's the mouse, the constable's own word. If thou art done, we'll draw thee from the mire of, save your reverence, love, wherein thou stickest up to thy ears. Come, we burn daylight, ho!
Nay, that's not so.
I mean, sir, in delay, we waste our lights in vain like lamps by day. Take our good meaning, for our judgment sits 5 times in air, 1 our wits.
And we mean well in going to this mask, but 'tis not lit to go.
Why? Why, may one ask?
I dreamt a dream tonight.
And so did I.
Well, what was yours?
That dreamers often lie.
In bed, asleep, where they do dream things true.
Oh, then I see Queen Mab hath been with you.
Queen Mab? Who's she?
She is the fairy's midwife, and she comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn by a team of little atomies over men's noses as they lie asleep. Her wagon spokes are long spinner's wigs, the cover of the wings of grasshoppers, the traces of the smallest spider's web, and the collars of the moonshine's watery beam. Her whip is made of cricket's bone and a lash of film. Her wagoner is a small gray-coated gnat, not half so big as a round little worm pricked from the lazy finger of a maid. And her chariot is an empty hazelnut made by the joiner squirrel, or old grub, time over mine, the fairy's coachmaker. And in this state she gallops night by night through lovers' brains, and then they dream of love over lawyers' fingers, and then they dream of fees over ladies' lips, whose straight-on kisses dream, which oft the angry Mab with blisters plagues, for their breaths with sweetmeats tainted are. Sometimes she driveth over a courtier's nose, and then dreams he of smelling out a suit. Sometimes comes she with a tie of pig's tail, tickling a parson's nose, and then dreams he of another benefice. Sometimes she driveth over a soldier's neck, and then dreams he of cutting foreign throats, of breaches, ambuscados, Spanish blades of hell 5 fathoms deep, and then anon drums in his ear, at which he starts and wakes, and being thus frightened swears a prayer or two, and sleeps again. This is that very Mab that plats the manes of horses in the night, and picks the elf flocks and fowls sluttish hair, which once untangled much misfortune bode. This is the hag, when maids lie on their back, that presses them and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is she who—
Peace! Peace, Mercutio, peace! Thou talk'st of nothing.
True. I talk of dreams, which are the child of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, which is as thin a substance as the air, and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosom of the north, and being thus angered, puffs away from thence, turning his face to the dewdrop south.
This wind you talk of blows us from ourselves. Supper is done, and we shall come too late.
I fear too early, for my mind misgives some consequence yet hanging in the stars shall bitterly begin its fearful date with this night's revels, and expire the term of a despised life closed in my breast by some vile forfeit of untimely death. But he that hath steerage of my course direct my sail. On, lusty gentlemen!
Strike drum.
Where's Pophand, that he helps not to take away? He shift a trencher, he scape a trencher.
Good manners shall lie in one or two men's hands, and they unwashed too. 'Tis a foul thing.
Away with the joint stools, remove the cork cover, look to the plate. Good thou, save me a pace of marchpane, and as thou lovest me, let the porter let in Susan Grindstone and Nell. Anthony and Pophand.
Aye, boy, ready?
You are looked for and called for, asked for and sought for, in the great chamber.
We cannot be here and there too. Cheerly, boys, be brisk a while, and the longer liver take all.
Welcome, gentlemen. Ladies that have their toes unplagued with corns will walk about with you. My mistresses, which of you all will now deny to dance? She that makes dainty, I'll swear, she hath corns. Am I come near you now? Welcome, gentlemen. I've seen the day that I've worn a visor and could tell a whispering tale in a fair lady's ear, such as would please. 'Tis gone. 'Tis gone. 'Tis gone. You are welcome, gentlemen. Come, musicians, play. A hall, give room and foot it, girls. More light, you knaves, and turn the tables up and quench the fire. The room has grown too hot. Ah, sirrah, this unlooked for sport comes well. No, nay. Sit, good cousin Capulet, for you and I are past our dancing days. How long is't since you and I, last yourself and I were in a mask? Cousin.
Belati 30 years.
Oh, what man, it is not so much, 'tis not so much. But 'tis since the nuptial of Lucentio. Come Pentecost as it will, some 25 years, and then we masked.
'Tis more. His son is elder, sir. His son is 30.
Oh, will you tell me that? His son was but a ward 2 years ago.
What lady's that, which doth enrich the hand of yonder knight?
I know not, sir.
Oh, she doth teach the torches to burn bright. It seems she hangs upon the cheek of night like a rich jewel in an Ethiop's ear. Beauty too rich for use of, for earth too dear. She shows a snowy dove trooping with crows, as yonder lady o'er her fellows shows. The measure's done. I'll watch her place of stand, and touching hers, make blessed my rude hand. Did my heart love till now? I swear at sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night.
This, by his voice, should be a Montague. Fetch me my rapier, boy. What, dares the slaves to come hither, covered with an antic face, to fleer and scorn at our solemnity? No. By the stock and honor of my kin, to strike him dead, I hold it not a sin.
Aye, how now, kinsman? Wherefore storm you so?
Uncle, this is a Montague, our foe, a villain that is hither come in spite to scorn at our solemnity this night.
Young Romeo, is it?
'Tis he, that villain, Romeo.
Content thee, gentle cuz, let him alone. He bears him like a portly gentleman, and to say truth, Verona brags of him to be a virtuous and well-governed youth. I would not for the wealth of all the town here in my house do him disparagement. Therefore, be patient. Take no note of him. It is my will which if thou respect, show a fair presence and put off these frowns, an ill-beseeming semblance for a feast.
It fits when such a villain is a guest. I'll not endure him.
He shall be endured. What, goodman boy? I say he shall. Go to. Am I the master here or you? Go to. You'll not endure him? God shall mend my soul. You'll make a mutiny amongst my guests? You'll set a cock-a-hoop? You'll be the man?
Why, uncle, 'tis a shame.
Go to! Go to! You are a saucy boy. Is so indeed. This trick may chance to scathe you. I know what. You must contrary me, marry. 'Tis time. Well said, my hearts. You are a princox. Go. Be quiet. Or no, more light. More light. More light. For shame. I'll make you quiet. What? Cheerly, my hearts.
Patience perform with willful choler meeting makes my flesh tremble in their different greeting. I will withdraw, but this intrusion shall, now seeming sweet, convert to bitterest gall.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips to blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with tender kiss.
You're muted, Juliet.
No. Good pilgrim, you do your hand too much, for which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints do have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is the holy palmer's kiss.
Have not saints lips and holy palmers too?
Aye, pilgrims, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou lest faith turn to despair.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, while my prayers effect I take. Thus from my lips by thine my sin is purged.
Then have my lips the sin that they have took.
Sin from my lips? Oh, trespass sweetly urged. Give me my sin again.
You kiss by the book.
Madam, your mother craves a word with you.
What is it, her mother?
Her mother is the lady of the house, and a good lady, and a wise and virtuous. I nursed her daughter that he talked withal. I tell you that he can lay hold of her, that shall have the chinks.
Is she a Capulet? Oh, dear account, my life is in my foe's debt.
Away, be gone. The sport is at the best.
Aye, so I fear the more is my unrest.
Hey, gentlemen, prepare not to be gone. We have a trifling foolish banquet towards. Is even so? Oh, I thank you all. I thank you, honest gentlemen. Good night. And more torches here. Come on, then. Let's to bed. Sirrah, by my fay, it waxes late. I'll to my rest. Oh.
Come hither, nurse. What is yon gentleman?
The son and heir of old Tibero.
What's he's that now going out the door?
Mary, that I think be young Petruchio.
What's he that follows there, that would not dance?
I know not.
Well, go ask his name. If he be married, my grave is like my wedding bell.
His name is Romeo and a Montague, the only son of your great enemy.
My only love sprung from my only hate. Too early seen, unknown, and known too late. Prodigious birth of love is it to me that I must love a loathe enemy.
What's this? What's this?
A rhyme I learned even now, of one I dance without.
Juliet.
Anon, anon. Come, let's away. The strangers are all gone.
Now old desire doth in his deathbed lie, and young affection gapes to be his heir. That fair for which love groaned for and would die, with tender Juliet matched, is now not fair. Now Romeo is beloved and loves again, alike bewitched by the charm of looks, but to his foe supposed he must complain, and she steal love's sweet bait from fearful hooks. Being held a foe, he may not have access to breathe such vows as lovers used to swear, and she as much in love, her means much less, to meet her new beloved anywhere. But passion lends them power, time means to meet, tempering extremities with extremes sweet.
Can I go forward when my heart is here? Turn back, dull earth, and find thy center out.
Romeo! Romeo! My cousin, Romeo!
He is wise, and on my life hath stolen him home to bed.
He ran this way and leaped over the orchard wall. Call, good Mercutio, call him.
Nay, I will conjure too. Romeo! Humus! Madman, passion lovers! Appear in the likeness of the sigh! Speak but one rhyme, and I am satisfied. Cry but I me. Pronounce love or dove. Speak, my gossip, to Venus one fair word, one nickname for her purblind son and heir, young Abraham Cupid. He shot so true when King Cophetua loved the beggar maid. He heareth not, he stirreth not, he moveth not, the ape is dead. And I must conjure him. I conjure thee by Rosalind's bright eye, by her high forehead, by her crimson lip, and fine foot and straight leg and quivering thigh and the domains that there closely lie. Oh, I conjure that in thy likeness you appear to me.
And if he hears thee, that will anger him.
This cannot anger him. 'Twould anger him to raise a spirit in his mistress's circle, or some strange nature, letting it there stand till she had laid it and conjured it down. That were some spirits, but my invocation is fair and honest. In his mistress's name, I conjure only but to raise him up.
Come, he hath hid himself among these trees to be consorted with the humorous night. Blind is his love, and best befits the dark.
Yes, if love be blind, love cannot hit the mark. Now he will sit under a medlar tree and wish his mistress for all kinds of fruit, as maids call themselves meddlers when they laugh alone. Oh, Romeo, that she were. Oh, that she were. Oh, that she were an open ass. And thou a popperim pear. Ah, Romeo, good night. Good night, Romeo. I will to my truckle bed. This field bed is too cold for me. Come, shall we go?
Go then, for 'tis in vain to seek him here that means not be found.
He jests at scars that never felt a wound. Soft. but light through yonder window breaks. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief that thou, her maid, art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, as she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady, oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek.
Ay me.
She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being o'er my head as the winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air.
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, but be but sworn, my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet.
Shall I hear more, or shall I speak of this?
'Tis but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art thyself, though not to Montague. What's Montague? Is it nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face? Not any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name, that which we call a rose. By any other name it would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes. Without that title, Romeo, doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all of myself.
I take thee at thy word. Call me love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I will never be Romeo.
What man art thou that thus bescreen in night so stumbled on my counsel?
By a name I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to myself because it is an enemy to thee. Had I it written, I would tear the word.
My ears have not yet drunk 100 words of thy tongue utterance, yet I know the sound. Art thou not a Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair saint, if either thee this like.
How camest thou hither? Tell me, and wherefore? The orchard's walls are high and hard to climb, and the place death, considering who thou art, if any of my kinsmen find thee here.
With love's light wings did I o'erperch these walls. For stony limits cannot hold love out. And what love can do that dares love attempt, therefore thy kinsmen are no stop to me.
If they do see thee, they will murder thee.
Alack, there lies more peril in thine eye than 20 of their swords. Look thou but sweet, and I am proof against their enmity.
I would not for the world they saw thee here.
I have night's cloak to hide me from their eyes. But thou love me. Let them find me here. My life were better ended by their hate than death prolonged, wanting of thy love.
By whose direction found thou out this place?
By love, who first did prompt me to inquire. He lent me counsel, and I lent him eyes. I am no pilot, yet wert thou as far as that vast shore washed in the farthest sea, I would adventure for such merchandise.
Thou know'st the mask of night is on my face, else would a maiden blush paint my cheek. For that which thou hast heard me speak tonight, fain would I dwell from form, fain deny. What have I spoke but farewell compliments? Dost thou love me? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. At lovers' perjurers, they say love Jove's lives. Oh, gentle Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully. Or if thou thinks I am too quickly won, I'll frown and be perverse and say thee nay. So thou wilt woo, but else not for the world. In truth, fair Montague, I am too fond, and therefore thou mayst think my behavior light. But trust me, gentlemen, I prove more true than those that have more coin to be strange. I should have been more strange, I must confess. But that thou's overheard ere I was where my true love passion. Therefore, pardon me, and not impute this in light or yielding to light love, which the dark night have so discovered.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon, I swear, that tips with silver all these fruit tree tops.
Oh, swear not by the moon, the inconstant moon, that monthly changes in her circled orb, lest that thy love prove likewise variable.
What shall I swear by?
Do not swear at all, or if thou wilt, swear by thy gracious self, which is the God of my adultery, and I believe thee.
If my heart's dear love.
Well, do not swear, although I joy in thee. I have no joy in this contract, though, tonight. It is too rash, too unadvised, too sudden, too like the lightning which doth cease to be, ere one can say it lightens. Sweet good night. This bud of love by summer's ripening breath may prove a beauteous flower when next we meet. So good night, as sweet repose and rest come to thy heart as that within my breast.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vow for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didn't request it, and yet I would if it were to give again.
Wouldst thou withdraw it? For what purpose, love?
But to be frank and give it thee again. And yet I wish but for the thing I have. My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite.
Juliet!
I hear some noise within. Dear love, adieu. Anon, good nurse. Sweet Montague, but true, stay but a little. I will come again.
Oh, blessed, blessed night. I am a feared being in night. All this but a dream. Too flattering, sweet to be substantial.
3 words, dear Romeo, and good night indeed. If that thy bent of love be honorable, the purpose of marriage, send me word tomorrow by one that I'll procure to come to thee, and where and what time that will perform the rite, and all my fortunes at thy foot I'll lay, and follow thee, my lord, throughout the world.
Madam?
I come anon. But if thou meanst not well, I do beseech thee.
Madam!
By and by I come. To these thy suit, and leave me to my grief. Tomorrow I will send.
So thrive my soul.
1,000 times good night.
1,000 times the worse to want thy light. Love goes toward love as schoolboys from their books, but love from love toward school with heavy looks.
Hist, Romeo, hist. Oh, for a falconer voice to lure this tassel gentle back again. Bondage is hoarse and may not speak aloud, else I would tear the cave where echo lies and make her airy tongue more hoarse than mine. with the repetition of my Romeo.
It is my soul that calls upon my name. How silver sweet sound lovers' tongues by night, like softest music to attending ears.
Romeo,
My dear,
what o'clock tomorrow shall I send thee?
by the hour of 9.
I will not fail. 'Tis 20 years till then. I have forgot why I did call thee back.
Let me stand here till thou remember it.
I shall forget to have thee still stand there, remembering how I love thy enemy, or thy company.
I'll still stay to have thee still forgetting any other home but this.
'Tis almost morning. I would have thee gone, and yet no further than a wanton's bird who let it hop a little from her hand, and like a poor prisoner in his twisted gyves, and yet a silk thread plucks it back again, so loving jealousy of his liberty.
I would I were thy bird.
Sweet, so would I, yet I would kill thee with much cherishing. Good night. Good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be tomorrow.
Sleep dwell upon thine eyes, peace in thy breast. Would I were sleep in peace, so sweet to rest. Hence I will to my ghostly friar's close cell, and help to crave and my dear hap to tell.
Gray-eyed morn smiles on the frowning night, checkering the eastern clouds with streaks of light. And fleckled darkness like a drunkard reels from fourth day's path and tightens fiery wheels. Now, ere the sun advances burning eye, the day to cheer and night stank dew to dry, I must upfill this osier cage of ours with baleful weeds and precious juiced flowers. Earth, that's nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her burying grave, that is her womb, and from her womb, children of diverse kind, we sucking on her natural bosom find, many, for many virtues excellent, none but for some, and yet all different. Oh, mickle is the powerful grace that lies in plants, herbs, stones, and their true qualities. For naught so vile that on the earth doth live, but to the earth some special good doth give. Nor aught so good, but strained from that fair use, revolts from true birth, stumbling on abuse. Virtue itself turns vice, being misapplied, and vice, sometimes by action dignified. Within the infant rind of this weak flower, poison hath residence, and medicine power, for this, being smelt, with that part cheers each part. Being tasted, slays all senses with the heart. Two such opposed kings encamp them still in man, as well as herbs, grace and rude will. And where the worser is predominant, full soon the canker death eats up that plant.
Good morrow, Father.
Benedicite. What early tongue so sweet saluteth me? Young son, it argues that his tempered head so soon to bid good morrow to thy bed.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Care keeps us watch in every old man's eye, and where care lodges, sleep will never lie, but where unbruised youth with unstuffed brain doth couch his limbs, there golden sleep doth reign. Therefore thy earliness doth me assure thou art uproused by some distemperature, huh? Or if not so, and here I hit it right, our Romeo hath not been in bed tonight.
The last is true, the sweeter rest was mine.
God pardon sin. What's that with Rosaline?
With Rosaline, my ghostly father. No! I have forgot that name, and that name's woe.
That's my good son, but where hast thou been then?
I'll tell thee ere thou ask it me again. I have been feasting with mine enemy, where on a sudden one hath wounded me, that by me wounded, by our remedies, with thy help and holy physic lies, I bear no hatred, blessed man, for lo, my intercession likewise steads my foe.
Be plain, good son, and homely in thy drift. This riddling confession finds but riddling shrift.
Then plainly know my heart, dear love, is set on the fair daughter of rich Capulet. As mine on hers, so hers is set on mine, and all combined save what thou must combine by holy marriage. When and where and how we met, we wooed and made exchange of vow. I'll tell thee as we pass, but this I pray, that thou consent to marry us today!
Holy Saint Francis, what a change is here. Is Rosaline, whom thou didst love so dear, so soon forsaken? Young men's love then lies not truly in their hearts, but in their eyes. Hey, Sue Maria, what a deal of brine hath washed thy sallow cheeks for Rosaline. How much salt water thrown away in waste to season love that of it doth not taste. The sun, not yet thy sighs from heaven clears, thy old groans ring yet in mine ancient ears. Lo, here, upon thy cheek, the stain doth sit of an old tear that's not washed off yet. If ever thou wast thyself, and these woes thine, thou and these woes were all for Rosaline. And art thou changed? Pronounce this sentence then. Women may fall when there's no strength in men.
Thou chidest me off for loving Rosaline.
For doting, not for loving, pupil mine.
And badest me bury love.
Not in a grave to lay one in, another out to have.
I pray thee, chide me not. Her I love now. Doth grace for grace and love for love allow? The other did not so.
Oh, she knew well thy love didn't read by rote and could not spell. But come, young waverer, come, go with me. In one respect, I'll thy assistant be. For this alliance may so happy prove to turn your household's rancor to pure love.
Oh, let us hence. I stand on sudden haste.
They're wisely and slow. They stumble that run fast.
Where the devil should this Romeo be? Thanks, Juliet. Amy not home tonight?
Not to his father's. I spoke with his man.
Ah, that same pale, hard-hearted wench, Rosalind, torments him so. He will surely run mad.
Tybalt, the kinsman of old Capulet, hath sent a letter to his father's home.
Challenge on my life.
Romeo will answer it.
Any man that can write may answer a letter.
Nay, he will answer the letters. Sorry. Nay, he will answer the letters, master. How he dares being dared.
Oh, alas, poor Romeo, he is already dead. Stabbed with a white wench's black eye, shot through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart, cleft with the blind bowboy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt?
Why? What is Tybalt?
Oh, more than a prince of cats, I can tell you. Oh, he's the courageous captain of compliments. He fights like you sing prick songs. He keeps time and distance and proportion, and he rests his minimum rests 1, 2, and a third in your bosom. The very butcher of a silk button. A duelist. A duelist. A gentleman of the very first house. Immortal passado, the punto reversal, the height.
What?
Oh, pox on such antic, lisping, affecting fantastico. These new turners of accents. By Jesu, a very fine blade, a very tall man, a very good whore. Why is this not a lamentable thing, grandsire, that we should be thus afflicted by these strange flies, these fashion mongers, these pardon me's who stand on so much new form that they cannot sit case on an old bench without crying, "Oh, my bones, my bones."
Here comes Romeo. Here comes Romeo.
without his roe, like a dried herring. Oh, flesh, flesh, how art thou fishified? Now he is in the numbers of the Petrarch flower. Laura, his leg in the kitchen wench. Mary, she had a better love to rhyme her, but died with dowdy. Cleopatra, a gypsy. Helen, a hero, a hidings and harlots. Thisby with a grey eye, but not to a purpose. Signor Romeo! Bonjour! There is a French salutation for your French slop. You gave us the counterfeit fairly last night.
Good morrow to you both. What counterfeit did I give you?
The slip, sir. The slip. Can you not conceive?
Pardon, good Mercutio. My business was great, and in such a case as mine, a man may strain courtesy.
That's as much as to say that a case such as yours constrains a man to bow in the knees, hams.
Meaning to curtsy.
Thou hast most kindly hit it.
A most courteous exposition.
Hey, I am the very pink of courtesy.
Pink for flower.
Right.
Then is my pump well flowered?
Sure, wit! Follow me this jest now till thou hast worn out thy pump. And when the single soul of its worn out jest may remain, after the wearing solely singular.
Oh, single soul jest solely singular into the singleness.
Come between us, good Benvolio. My wits are faint.
Switching spurs, or all cry a match.
Nay, if our wits run the wild goose chase, I am done. Thou hast more of the wild goose in one of thy wits than I am for sure having my whole 5. Was I not with you there for this goose?
Thou wast never with me for anything when thou wast not there for the goose.
I will bite thee by the ear for that jest.
Nay, good goose, bite not.
Thy wit is very bitter sweetening, and a most sharp sauce.
And is it not then well served into a sweet goose?
Here is a wit of chivalry. It stretches from an inch narrow to an elf broad.
I'll stretch it out for that word broad, which added to the goose proves thee far and wide a broad goose.
Why is this not now better groaning for love? Now thou art sociable. Now thou art Romeo. Now art thou what thou art by art as well as by nature. For driveling up love is like a great natural that runs lolling up and down to hide its hole in a bauble.
Oh, stop there. Stop there. Stop there. Stop there.
Thou desirest me to stop in my tail against a hair?
Thou would else have made thy tail large.
Oh, thou art deceived. I would have made it short. Or I was come to the whole depths of my tail, and meant indeed to occupy the argument no longer.
Oh, here's a goodly gear.
A sail! A sail!
Two. A smock and a shirt.
Peter!
Anon!
My fan, Peter.
Good Peter, to hide her face, for the fan is the fairer face.
God ye good morrow, gentlemen.
God ye good evening, fair gentlewoman.
Is it gooding?
'Tis no less. I tell ye, for the body hand of the dial is now upon the prick of noon.
Out upon you! What a man are you!
One gentlewoman that God hath made for himself to mar.
By my troth, it is well said. For himself to mar, quoth he. Gentlemen, can any of you tell me where I may find the young Romeo?
I can tell you, but young Romeo will be older when you have found him when he was when you have sought him. I am the youngest of that name, for fault of a worse.
You say well.
Hey, and is worst well. Very well took in faith. Wisely.
If you be he, sir, I desire some confidence with ye.
She will indict him for some supper.
Abad, so ho!
Oh.
What hast thou found?
No hair, sir, unless a hair, sir, in a Lenten pie. That is something stale and hoarerity spent. Oh, an old hair whore,
is very good meat in Lent. But a hair that is poor is too much for a score when its whore has be spent. Romeo, will you come to your father's? We'll go to dinner thither.
I will follow you.
Farewell, ancient lady. Farewell. Lady, lady, lady.
I pray you, sir, what saucy merchant was that was so full of his ropery?
A gentleman, nurse, that loves to hear himself talk and will speak more in a minute than he will to stand to in a month.
If he speak anything against me, I'll take him down. If he were lustier than he is, and 20 such jacks. And if I cannot, I'll find those that shall. Scurvy knave. I am none of his flirt gills. I am none to his skein mates. And thou must stand by too, and suffer every knave to use me at his pleasure.
I shall no man use you at his pleasure, and if I had, my weapon would quickly out. I warrant you. I dare draw as soon as another man, if I see her on occasion in a good quarrel, and the law is on my side.
Now, before God, I am so vexed that every part about me quivers. Scurvy knave. Pray you, sir, a word. As I told you, my young lady bade me inquire you out. What she bade me say I will keep to myself. But first let me tell ye, if you should lead her into a fool's paradise, as they say, it were a very gross kind of behavior, as they say. For the gentlewoman is young, and therefore if you should deal double with her, truly it were an ill thing to be offered to any gentlewoman, and very weak dealing.
Nurse, commend me to thy lady and mistress, I protest unto thee.
Good heart, and in faith I will tell her as much. Lord, she will be a joyful woman.
What wilt thou tell her, nurse? Thou dost not mark me.
I will tell her, sir, that you do protest, which, as I take it, is a gentlemanlike offer.
Bid her devise some means to come to Shrift this afternoon, and there she shall at Friar Lawrence's cell be shrived and married. Here's for thy pains.
Truly, sir, not a penny.
Go to, I say you shall.
This afternoon, sir. Well, she shall be there.
And stay good, nurse, behind the abbey wall. Within this hour my man shall be with thee, and bring thee cords made like a tackled stair, which to the high top gallant of my joy must be my convoy in the secret night. Farewell, be trusty, and I'll quit thy pains. Farewell, commend thee to thy mistress.
Oh, God in heaven bless thee. Hark you, sir.
What sayest thou, my dear nurse?
Is your man secret? Did you hear say, two may keep counsel, putting one away?
I warrant thee, my man's as true as steel.
Well, sir, my mistress is the sweetest lady, Lord. Lord, when 'twas a little prattling thing. Oh, there is a nobleman in town, one Paris, that would fain lay knife aboard. But she, good sir, had as lief see a toad, a very toad as see him. I anger her sometimes and tell her that Paris is the properer man, but I'll warrant you, when I say so, she looks as pale as any clout in the versal world. Doth not Rosemary and Romeo begin with a letter?
Aye, nurse, what of that? Both with an R.
Ah, Mocker, that's the dog's name. R is for the, no, I know it begins with some other letter, and she hath the prettiest sentience of it, of you and Rosemary, and that it would do you good to hear it.
Commend me to thy lady.
Aye, 1,000 times. Peter!
Anon!
Before and apace.
The clock struck 9 when I did send the nurse. In half an hour, she promised to return. Perchance she cannot meet him. That's not so. Oh, she is lame. Love's herald should be thoughts which 10 times faster glide than the sun's beams, driving back the shadows over lowering hills. Therefore do nimble piniard doves draw love, and therefore hath the wind-swept Cupid wings. Now the sun is upon the highmost hill of this day's journey, and from 9 till 12 is 3 long hours. Yet she is not come. As she affection and warm youthful blood, she would be swift in emotion as a ball. My words would be bandied to her, to my sweet love, and his to me. But old folks, many fain, as they were dead, unweedly, slow, heavy, and pale as lead. Oh God, here she comes. Oh, honey nurse, what news? Hast thou met with him? Send 9 men away.
Peter, stay at the gate.
Oh, now, good sweet nurse, oh Lord. Oh Lord, why thou sad? Though news be sad, yet tell them merrily. If good, thou shames the music of sweet news by playing it to me with so sour of a face.
I am aweary. Give me leave a while. Fie, how my bones ache. What a jaunt have I had.
I would have thou had my bones, and I thy news. Nay, come, I pray thee, speak. Good nurse, speak.
Jesu, what haste! Can you not stay a while? Do you not see that I am out of breath?
How art thou out of breath when thou hast breath to say to me that thou art out of breath? The excuse that thou dost make in this delay is longer than the tale of thou dost excuse. Is thy news good? Or bad? Answer to that. Say either, and I'll stay the circumstance. Let me be satisfied. Is it good or bad?
Well, you have made a simple choice. You know not how to choose a man. Romeo? No, not he. Though his face be better than any man's, yet his leg excels all men's, and for a hand and a foot and a body, though they are not to be talked on, yet they are past compare. He is not the flower of courtesy, but I'll warrant him as gentle as a lamb. Go thy ways, wench, serve God. Have you dined at home?
No, but all of this did I know before. What say of our marriage? What of that?
Lord, how my head aches. What a head I have. It beats as though it would fall into 20 pieces. My back, the other side. Oh, my back. Beshrew your heart for sending me about to catch my death with jaunting up and down.
Faith, I am sorry, for thou art not well. Sweet nurse, tell me, what says my love?
Your love says, like an honest gentleman, and a courteous, and a kind, and a handsome, and I warrant, a virtuous. Where is your mother?
Where is my mother? Why, she is within. Where should she be? How oddly thou repliest. Your love says, like an honest gentleman. Where's your mother?
Oh, God's lady dear, are you so hot? Mary, come up, I trow. Is this the poultice for my aching bones? Henceforth, do your messages yourself.
But here's such a coil. Come, what says Romeo?
Have you got leave to go to shrift today?
I have.
Then hie you hence to Friar Lawrence's cell. There stays a husband to make you a wife. Now comes the wanton blood up in your cheeks, and they'll be in scarlet straight in any news. Hie you to church. I must another way, to fetch a ladder by which your love must climb a bird's nest soon when it is dark. I am the drudge and toil in your delight. But go, all to dinner, hie you to the cell.
Hie to fortune, honestness, farewell.
So smile the heavens upon this holy act, that after hours with sorrow chide us not.
Amen, amen. But come what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy that one short minute gives me in her sight. But do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love-devouring death do what he dare. It is enough I may but call her mine.
These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume. The sweetest honey is loathsome in its own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Therefore, love moderately. Long love doth so. Too swift arrives as tardy as too slow. Here comes the lady. So light of foot will ne'er wear out the everlasting flint. A lover may bestride the gossamers that idles in the wanton summer air, and yet not fall, so light is vanity.
Good even to my ghostly confessor.
Romeo shall thank thee, daughter, for us both.
As much to him, else is his thanks too much.
Juliet, if the measure of thy joy be heaped like mine, and that thy skill be more to blazon it, then sweeten with thy breath this neighbor air, and let rich the music's tongue unfold the imagined happiness that both receive in either by this dear encounter.
Conceit more rich in matter than words, brags of his substance, not of ornament. They are but beggars, they can count their worth, but my true love is grown to such excess I cannot sum up the sum of half my wealth.
Come with me, and we will make short work. For by your leaves you shall not stay alone till Holy Church incorporate two in one.
I pray thee, good Mercutio, let's retire. The day is hot, the Capulets abroad, and if we meet, we shall not escape a brawl. For now these hot days is the mad blood stirring.
Thou art like one of these fellows when he enters the confines of a tavern, clasps me his sword upon the table and says, God, send me no need of thee, and upon operation of the second cup, draws it on the drawer when indeed there is no need.
Am I like such a fellow?
Come, thou art as hot a jack as in thy mood as any in Italy, as soon moved to be moody and as moody be moved.
And what two?
Nay, and there were two such, we should have none shortly, for one would kill the other. Thou wilt quarrel with a man for having one hair more or one hair less than thy beard. Thou wilt quarrel with a man for cracking nuts for no other reason than thou having hazel eyes.
What I but such a quarrel would spy out a quarrel? Thy head is full of quarrels, as an egg is full of meat, and yet by thy head hath been beaten as cattle as an egg for quarreling. Thou hast quarreled with a man for coughing in the street, because he hath awakened the dog that was asleep in the sun. Now, didst thou not fall out with a tailor for wearing his new doublet before Easter, and with another for his new shoes with a new old ribbon? Ugh. And yet thou wilt tutor me about quarreling?
And I were so apt to quarrel as thou art, my man should buy the fee simple of my life for an hour and a quarter.
The fee simple. Oh, simple.
By my head. Here come the Capulets.
Ugh, why am I here? I care not.
Follow me close, for I will speak to them. Gentlemen, good e'en. A word with one of you?
Oh, and but one word with one of us. Couple it with something, make it a word and a blow.
You shall find me apt enough to that, sir, and you will give me occasion.
Could you not take some occasion without giving?
Mercutio, thou consortest with Romeo.
Consort? What, does thou make us minstrels? And thou would make minstrels of us looking to hear nothing but discords. Here's my fiddlestick, and that shall make you dance. Zounds, consort.
We talk here in the public of haunt of men. Either withdraw into some public place, a private place, or reason coldly of your grievances, or else depart. All eyes gaze on us.
Men's eyes were meant to look, and let them gaze. I will not budge for no man's pleasure.
Well, peace be with you, sir. Here comes my man.
I'll be hanged, sir, if he wears your livery. Mary, go before a field and find he'll be your follower, your worship, in the sense that he calls me a man.
Romeo, the love I bear thee can afford no better than this. Thou art a villain.
Tybalt, the reason that I have to love thee doth much excuse the appertaining rage to such a greeting. Villain am I none, therefore farewell. I see thou knowest me not.
Boy, this shall not excuse the injuries that thou hast done me. Therefore, turn and draw.
I do protest. I never injured thee, but loved thee better than thou canst devise, till thou shalt know the reason of my love. And so, good Capulet, which name I tender as dearly as mine own, be satisfied.
Oh, calm, dishonorable, vile submissions. A la staccato! Away with it! Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk?
What wouldst thou have done with me?
Oh, good king of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives that I mean to make bold withal. And you shall use me hereafter, dry beat the rest of the 8th. Will you pluck up thy sword out of its pilcher by its ears? Make haste, lest mine ears catch it out.
I am for you.
Gentle Mercutio, put thy rapier up.
Come on, sir, you're passado.
Draw Benvolio, put down their weapons. Gentlemen, for shame, forbear this outrage. Tybalt, Mercutio, the Prince expressly hath forbidden banding in Verona streets. Hold, Tybalt, hold Mercutio.
I'm hurt. Oh, a plague on both your houses. I'm sped. Is he gone and hath nothing?
What, art thou hurt?
It's a scratch. It's a scratch, but Mary, 'tis enough. Oh, where's my page? Where's my page? Go, villain, fetch a surgeon.
Courage, man, the Kirk cannot be much.
Oh, no, 'tis not deep as a well, nor so wide as a church door, but 'tis enough. 'Twill serve. Oh, ask for me tomorrow and you'll find me a grave man. I am peppered. I warned for this. I warned for this world a plague on both your houses! Sounds. A dog, a rat, a mouse, a cat could scratch a man to death, but a braggart, a rogue, a villain who fights by the book of arithmetic? Why the devil came you between us? I was hurt under your arm.
I thought all for the best.
Help me into some house, Benvolio, or I shall faint. A plague on both your houses that have made worms meat of me. I have it, and soundly too. Both of your houses.
This gentleman, the prince's near ally, my very friend, hath got his mortal hurt in my behalf. My reputation stained with Tybalt's slander. Tybalt, that an hour hath been my cousin. Oh, sweet Juliet, thy beauty had made me effeminate, and in my temper softened valor's steel.
Romeo? Romeo? Brave Mercutio's dead.
Oh.
That gallant spirit hath aspired the clouds, which too untimely he here did scorn the earth.
This day's black fate on more days doth depend, but this but begins the woes others must end.
Here comes the furious Tybalt back again.
Alive, in triumph, and Mercutio slain. Away to heaven, respective lenity, and fire-eyed fury be my conduct now. Now, Tybalt, take the villain back again. That late thou gavest me for Mercutio's soul is but a little way above our heads. Staying for thine will keep him company. Either thou or I, but Mo must go with him.
Thou, wretched boy, that didst consort him here, shall with him hence.
This shall determine that.
Romeo, Romeo, away, be gone. The citizens are up and Tybalt slain. Stand not amazed. The prince will doom thee death if thou art taken. Hence, be gone, away.
Oh, I am fortune's fool.
It is not stay, go.
Me, right?
Yep.
Okay. Which way ran he that killed Mercutio? Tybalt, that murderer. Which way went he?
There lies that Tybalt.
Up, sir. Go with me. I charge thee in thy prince's name. Obey!
Where are the vile beginners of this fray?
O noble prince, I can discover all the unlucky manage of this fatal brawl. There lies the man slain by young Romeo, that slew thy kinsman, brave Mercutio.
Tybalt, my cousin. Oh, my brother's child. Oh, prince. Oh, cousin. Husband. Oh, the blood is spilt of my dear kinsman. Prince, as thou art true, for blood of ours shed blood of Montague. Oh, cousin.
Benvolio, who began this bloody fray?
Tybalt, here slain who Romeo's hand did slay. Romeo, that spoke him fair, bade him bethink how nice the quarrel was, and urged withal your high displeasure. All this uttered with gentle breath, calm look, knees humbly bowed, could not take truce with the unruly spleen of Tybalt, deaf to peace, but that he tilts with piercing steel at bold Mercutio's breast, who all his hot turns deadly point to point, and with the martial scorn with one hand beats cold death aside, and with the other sends it back to Tybalt, whose dexterity retorts it. Romeo, he cries aloud, hold friends, hold, part, and swifter than his tongue, his agile arm beats down their fatal points, and twixt them rushes underneath whose arm an envious thrust from Tybalt hit the life of stout Mercutio, and then Tybalt fled. But by and by comes back to Romeo, who had newly entertained revenge, and they go to it like lightning. For ere I could draw to part them, and was stout Tybalt slain. And as he fell, did Romeo turn and fly. This is the truth, or let Benvolio die.
He is a kinsman to the Montague. Affection makes him false. He speaks not true. Some 20 of them fought in this black strife, and all those 20 could not kill one life. I beg for justice, which thou, Prince, must give. Romeo slew Tybalt. Romeo must not live.
Romeo slew him, he slew Mercutio, who now the price of his dear blood doth owe.
Not Romeo, Prince. He was Mercutio's friend. His fault concludes but what the law should end, the life of Tybalt.
And for that offense immediately we do exile him hence. I have an interest in your hate's proceeding. My blood for your rude brawls doth lie a-bleeding. But I'll immerse you with so strong a fine that you shall all repent the loss of mine. I will be deaf to pleading and excuses, nor tears nor prayers shall purchase out abuses. Therefore use none. Let Romeo hence in haste, else when he's found, that hour is his last. Bear hence this body and attend our will. Mercy but murderers, pardoning those that kill.
Gelber pacey fiery food steeds towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton.
Sorry, time out, Juliet. We're going to take a good 10 minutes here, quickly, just so that everyone can have a little break.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Thank you.
Gallop a pacey fiery fool steeds towards Phoebus' lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would just whip you to west and bring you in cloudy night immediately. Spread light, close curtains, love performing night that runaways' eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms untalk of and unseen. Lovers can do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or if love be blind and just agrees with night. Come, civil night, thou sober-suited matron, all in black and lean. Learn me how to lose a winning match, played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. Could my unmaimed blood batting in my cheek with thy black mantle to strange love grow bold? Think true love acted simply modestly. Come night, come Romeo, come thou day and night, whiter than new snow upon a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come loving black-browed night, give me my Romeo, and when he shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to garnish sun. Oh, I have bought the mansion of a love, but not possessed it. And though I am soul not yet enjoyed, so tedious is this day as a night before some festival to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. Oh, here comes my nurse. She brings news, and every tongue that speaks but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence. Now, nurse, what news? What hast thou there? The cords that Romeo bid thee fetch?
Aye, the cords.
Ay me, what news? Why dost thou wring with thy hands?
Ugh, where are they? He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. We are undone. Lady, we are undone. Alack the day. He's gone. He's killed. He's dead.
Can heaven be envious?
Romeo can, though heaven cannot. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, who would have ever thought it? Romeo.
What devil art thou that dost torment me thus? This torture should be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say thou, but I, and that bare vow I shall poison more than death's darting eye of a cockatrice. I am not I, if there be such an eye, or those eyes shut that make thee answer. I, if be slain, say I, or if not, no. Brief sounds determine of my weal or my woe.
I saw the wound. I saw it with mine eyes. God save the mark. Here on his manly breast, a piteous course, a bloody, piteous course. And pale as ashes, all bedaubed in blood, all in gore blood. I swooned at the sight.
Break my heart. Poor bankrupt, break at once. To prison's eyes never look on liberty, while earth resign and motion here. And thou and Romeo press one heavy beer.
Tybalt, thy best friend I had. Oh, courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman that I should see to live to see thee dead.
What storm is this that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered and Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dear lord, the dreadful trumpet sounds the general gloom. For who is living if those two are gone?
Tybalt is gone, and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished.
Oh God. Did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood?
It did. It did. Alas, the day it did.
Oh, serpent heart hid with a flowering face. Did a dragon keep so fair a cave? Beautiful, triumph, fiend, angelical, tough-feathered raven, wolvishly, ravenly lamb, despised substance of divinest show, just opposite to what thou just seems, a damned saint, an honorable villain. Nature, what hast thou to do in hell when thou didn't bower the spirit of Phoebe in a mortal paradise of such sweet flesh? Was ever book containing such vile matter so fairly bound? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a gorgeous palace.
There's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men. All perjured, all forsworn, all not, all dissemblers. Where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo.
There's no blister by thy tongue for such a wish. He was not born to shame upon his brow. Shame is a shame to sit, for 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the earth. Oh, what a beast I was to chide at him.
Will you speak well of him that killed your cousin?
Shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? My poor lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name when I, thy 3 hours wife, have mingled it? But wherefore, villain, did thou kill my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. Back back, you foolish tears. Get back to your naive spring. Your tributary drops belong to a woe which you mistakenly offer to have joy. My husband lives, and that Tybalt would have been slain. And Tybalt's dead, that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort. Wherefore weep I then? Somewhere there was worse than Tybalt's dead. That murdered me. I would forget it fan, but oh, it presses on my memory. Like damned guilty deeds to sinner minds. Tybalt is dead, and Romeo banished. That one word, banished, has slain 10,000 Tybalts. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there, or if sour woe delights in fellowship, immediately will be ranked with other griefs. Why not? Why follow not? When she was Tybalt's dead, thy father or thy mother, nay, or both, which modern lamentation might have moved, but with a reward following to Tybalt's death, Romeo is banished. To speak that word is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Romeo is banished, and there is no end, no limit, no measure bound in that word's death. No words can that woe sound. Where's my father and where's my mother, nurse?
Weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corse. Will you go to them? I will bring you thither.
Wash they his wounds with tears, mine shall be spent. When there's a drive for Romeo's banishment. Take up those cords. Poor ropes, you are beguiled. Both you and I for Romeo's exile. He made you for a highway to my bed, but I made die maiden widow. But come cords, come nurse. I'll to my wedding bed and death, not Romeo. Take my maiden head.
Hie to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. All to him. He is hid at Lawrence cell.
Find him. Give him this ring to my true knight, and bid him come take his last farewell.
Romeo, come forth. Come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity.
Father, what news? What is the prince's doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand, yet I know not?
Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom.
What less than doomsday is the prince's doom?
A gentler judgment vanished from his lips, not body's death, but body's banishment.
Banishment! Be merciful, say death! For exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment.
Hence from Verona art thou banished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide.
Then there is no world without Verona's walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Its banished is banished from the world, and world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed, calling death banished. Thou cutt'st my head off with a golden axe, and smilest upon the stroke that murders me.
Oh, deadly sin! A rude unthankfulness, thy fault our law calls death. But the kind prince, taking thy part, hath rushed aside the law and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not.
It's torture and not mercy. Heaven is here where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse and every unworthy thing lives here in heaven and may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lives in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal the immortal blessing from her lips. Who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush as thinking their own kiss is sin. But Romeo may not, he is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mixed? No sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, nor ne'er so mean, but banish it, kill me, banish it! O friar, the damned use of that word in hell, howling attends it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word banish it?
Fond madman, hear me but speak a word.
Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment.
I'll give thee armored. Keep off that word. Adversity's sweet milk. Philosophy. Comfort thee, though thou art banished.
Banish it. Hang up philosophy unless philosophy can make me a Juliet. This planted town reverse a prince's doom. It helps not, it prevails not. No more.
Then I see that madmen have no ears.
How should they when they that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute with thee of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of that thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me and like me banished, then mightst thou speak, then mightst thou tear thy hair and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
Arise. One knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Not I, unless the breath of heartsick groans mist-like enfolds me in search of eyes.
Hark how they knock. Who's there? Romeo, arise, thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up, run to my study. By and by. God's will, what simpleness is this? I come. Who knocks so hard? Whence comes you? What's your will?
Let me come in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet.
Welcome then.
Oh, holy friar. Oh, tell me, holy friar, where is my lady's lord? Where's Romeo?
Oh, he's there on the ground, with his own tears made drunk.
Oh, he is even in my mistress's case, just in her case. Oh, woeful sympathy. Piteous predicament, even so lies she, blubbering and weeping and blubbering. Stand up, stand, and you be a man, for Juliet's sake. For her sake, stand and rise. Why should you fall into so deep an O?
Nurse.
Sir, 'tis the end of all.
Spakest thou of Juliet? How is it with her? Doth she not think of me an old murderer, now that I have stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own? Where is she, and how doth she? And what says my concealed lady to our cancelled love?
Well, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps, and now falls on her bed, and then starts up, and Tybalt crawls, and then on Romeo cries, and then down falls again.
As if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her, as that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me, that I may sack the hateful mansion.
Whoa! Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man, and ill-beseeming beast in seeming both. Thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself, and slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railst thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose? Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which, like a usurer, aboundst in all, and usest none in that true use, indeed, which should bedeck thy shape, thy love, thy wit. Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn, but hollow perjury. Killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish, thy wit, that ornament, shape, and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both. Like powder in a skillless soldier's flask, set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. What, rouse thee, man? Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wert but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There thou art happy. And the law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it into exile. There art thou happy. A pack of blessings lights upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array, but like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou pouts upon thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love as was decreed, ascend her chamber, hence, and comfort her. But look thou, stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua. But thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage. Reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 200,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt unto. Romeo's coming.
Oh, Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is. My lord, I'll tell my lady you will come.
Do so, and bid my sweet prepare to chide.
Here, sir. A ring she bade me give you, sir. Hie you, make haste, for it grows very late.
How well my comfort is revived by this.
Go hence, good night. And here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by the break of day disguised from hence. Sojourn in Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me that hand. 'Tis late. Farewell. Good night.
But that a joy past joy calls out on me, it were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell.
Things have fallen out, sir, so unluckily that we have had no time to move our daughter. Look you, she loved her kinsman, Tybalt, dearly, and so did I. Well, we are born to die. 'Tis very late. She'll not come down tonight. I promise you, but for your company, I would have been abed an hour ago.
These times of woe afford no time to woo. Madam, good night. Commend me to your daughter.
I will, and know her mind early tomorrow. Tonight she's mewed up to her heaviness.
Sir Paris, I will make a desperate tender of my child's love. I think she will be ruled in all respects by me. Nay, more, I doubt it not. Wife, go you to her ere you go to bed. Acquaint her here of my son Paris' love, and bid her, mark you me, on Wednesday next. But soft, what day is this?
Monday, my lord.
Monday? Well, Wednesday is too soon. Thursday, let it be. No? On Thursday, tell her she shall be married to this noble earl. Will you be ready? Do you like this haste? We'll keep no great ado, a friend or two to hark you. Tybalt being slain so late, it may be thought we held him carelessly, being our kinsman, if we rebel much. Therefore we'll have some half-dozen friends, and there's an end. But what say you to Thursday?
My lord, I would that Thursday were tomorrow.
Well, get you gone, a Thursday be it then. Go you to Juliet, ere you go to bed. Prepare her wife against this wedding day. Farewell, my lord. Light to my chamber, ho. For me, it is so very late that we may call it early by and by. Good night.
Will it be gone? It is not near day. It was the nightingale, and yet, though not the lark, that pierced the fearful hollow of thy ear. Nightly she sings on you, a pomegranate tree. Believe me, love was the nightingale.
It was the lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. Look, love, what envious streaks do lace the severing clouds in yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and jocund day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live or stay and die.
Yon light is not daylight. I know it. It's some meteor that some sun inhaled to be thee this night, to a torchbearer, and light thee way on thy way to Mantua. Therefore stay yet. Thou needs not to be gone.
Let me be ta'en. Let me be put to death. I am content. So thou wilt have it so. I'll say yon grey is not the morning's eye, 'tis but the pale reflex of Cynthia's brow. Nor that is it not the lark whose notes do beat the vaulty heaven so high above our heads. I have more care to stay than will to go. Come death and welcome, Juliet, wills it so. How's it, my soul? Let's talk. It's not a day.
It is. Hence, be gone away. It is the lark that sings so out of tune, straining harsh discords and unpleasing sharps. Some say that the lark makes sweet division. This doth not so, for she divided thus. Some say the lark and loath toad changed eyes. Oh, now I would they had they changed voices too, since arm from arm that voice does off the fray, hunting thee hence with hunts up to the day. Oh, now be gone, more light and light it grows.
More light and light, more dark and dark our woes.
Madam.
Nurse?
Your mother, your lady mother is coming to your chamber. The day is broke, be wary. Look about.
Then window let day in and let life out.
Farewell, farewell. One kiss and I'll descend.
Art thou gone so? Love, Lord, I, husband, friend, I must hear from thee every day in the hour. For a minute there are many days. Oh, by this court I shall be yearn much in years, ere again behold my Romeo.
Farewell. I will omit no opportunity that may convey my greetings, love, to thee.
Oh, think thou we shall ever meet again?
I doubt it not. And all these woes shall serve for sweet discourses in our time to come.
God, I have an ill-defining soul. Methinks I see now that art below, as one dead in the bottom of the tomb. Either my eyesight falls, or fails, or thou'st look pale.
And trust me, my love, in my eye so do you. Dry sorrow drinks our blood. Adieu, adieu.
Oh, fortune, fortune, all men call thee fickle. If thou art fickle, what dost thou with him that is renowned for faith? A fickle fortune. For then I hope thou will not keep him long, but send him back.
Oh, daughter, are you up?
Who's that calls? Is that my lady mother? Is she not down up so late or up so early? What accustomed cause procure her hither?
Why, how now, Juliet?
Madam, I am not well.
Ever more weeping for your cousin's death? What, wilt thou wash him from his grave with tears? And if thou couldst not make him live. Therefore, have done. Some grief shows much of love, but much of grief shows still some want of wit.
And yet let me weep for such a feeling lost.
So shall you feel the loss, but not the friend which you weep for.
Feeling so the loss, I cannot choose but ever weep the friend.
Well, girl, thou weepst not so much for his death as that the villain lives which slaughtered him.
That same villain, or what villain, madam?
That same villain, Romeo.
Villain, and he may be many miles asunder. God pardon him, I do with all my heart. And yet no man like he doth grieve my heart.
That is because the traitor murderer lives.
Aye, madam, from the reach of these of my hands, would none but I might venge my cousin's death.
We will have vengeance for it. Fear thou not. Then weep no more. I'll send to one in Mantua, where that same banished runagate doth live. Shall give him such an unaccustomed dram that he shall soon keep Tybalt company, and then I hope thou wilt be satisfied.
Indeed, thou never shalt be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him dead. Is my poor heart for your kinsman vexed? Madam, if you could find out but a man to bear a poison, I would temper it. That Romeo should, upon receipt of thereof, soon sleep in the quiet. Oh, how my heart abhors to hear him named, and cannot come to him to wreak the love I bore my cousin upon his body that hath slaughtered him.
Find thou the means, and I will find such a man. But now I'll tell thee joyful tidings, girl.
And joy comes well in such a needy time. What are they? I beseech your ladyship.
Well, thou hast a careful father, child, one who, to put thee from thy heaviness, hath sorted out a sudden day of joy that thou expects not, nor I looked not for.
Madam, in the happy time, what day is that?
Marry, my child, early next Thursday morn, the gallant, young, and noble gentleman, the County Paris, at St. Peter's Church, shall happily make thee there a joyful bride.
Now by St. Peter Church and Peter too, he shall not make me there a joyful bride. I wonder at this haste that I must wed, ere he that should be my husband come to woo. I pray you tell my lord and father, madam, I will not marry yet. And when I do, I swear it shall be Romeo, whom you know I hate, rather than Paris. These are news indeed.
Here comes your father. Tell him so yourself, and see how he will take it at your hands.
Oh, when the sun sets, the air doth drizzle dew, but for the sunset of my brother's son it rains down right. How now, a conduit girl? What, still in tears, evermore showering? In one little body thou counterfeit'st a bark, a sea, a wind. For still thine eyes, which I may call the sea, do ebb and flow with tears. The bark thy body is, sailing in this salt flood. The wind thy sighs, sailing in this salt flood, raging with thy tears, and they with them, without a sudden calm, will overset thy tempest-tossed body. How now, wife, have you delivered to her our decree?
Aye, sir, but she will none. She gives you thanks. I would the fool were married to her grave.
Soft, take me with you, wife. How? Will she none? Does she not give us thanks? Is she not proud? Doth she not count her blessed, unworthy as she is, that we have wrought so worthy a gentleman to be her bridegroom?
Not proud you have, but thankful that you have. Proud can I never be of what I hate, but thankful even for hate that is meant love.
How? Chopped logic? What is this? Proud and I thank you not, and yet not proud? Mistress Minion, you thank me no thankings, nor proud me no prouds, but fettle your fine joints 'gainst Thursday next to go with Paris to St. Peter's Church, or I will drag thee on a hurdle thither. Out, you green sickness carrion, out, you baggage, you tallow face.
Fie, what, are you mad?
Good father, I beseech you on my knees. Hear me with patience, but a word to speak.
Hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wretch. I'll tell thee what, get thee to church a Thursday, or never after look me in the face. Speak not, reply not, do not answer me. My fingers itch. Wife, scarce we thought us blessed that God had lent us but this only child, but now I see this one is one too much, and that we have a curse in having her. Out on her, Hilding!
God in heaven bless her. You are to blame, my lord, to rate her so.
Oh, and why, my lady Wisdom? Hold your tongue, good Prudence. Smatter with your gossips, go.
I speak no treason.
Oh, God ye goodeen.
May not speak one speak?
Peace, you mumbling fool. Utter your gravity or a gossip's bowl, for here we need it not.
You are too hot.
God's bread! It makes me mad! Day, night, hour, tide, time, work, play, alone, in company my care hath been still to have her matched. And having now provided a gentleman of noble parentage, of fair domains, youthful and nobly leans, stuffed, as they say, with honorable parts, proportioned as one thought would wish a man, and then to have a wretched, puling fool, a whining mammet in her fortune's tender to answer, I'll not wed, I cannot love, I am too young, I pray you pardon me. But if you will not wed, I'll pardon you. Graze where you will, you shall not house with me. Look to it, think on't. I do not use to jest. Thursday is near, lay hand on heart, advise. If you be mine, I'll give you to my friend. If you be not, hang, beg, starve, die in the streets. For by my soul, I'll ne'er acknowledge thee. For what is mine shall never do thee good. Trust to it. Bethink you. I'll not be forsworn.
Is there no pity sitting in the clouds that see into the bottom of my grief? Oh, sweet mother, cast me not away. Delay this marriage for a month, a week, or if you do not, make the bridal bed in dim momentum where Tybalt lies.
Talk not to me. I'll not speak a word. Do as thou wilt, for I have done with thee.
God, oh nurse, how shall this be prevented? My husband is on earth, my faith is on heaven. How shall that faith return again to earth unless husband is sent in from heaven? Unless that by leaving earth, comforted me, counseled me, alack, that heaven should practice stratagems upon so soft a subject as myself. Why'st thou say? Hast thou not a word of joy? Some comfort, nurse, please.
Faith, here it is. Romeo is banished, and all the world but to nothing that he dares ne'er come back to challenge you. Or if he do, it needs must be by stealth. Then, since the case so stands as it doth, I think it best you married with the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's a dishclout to him, an eagle. Madam hath not so green, so quick, so fair an eye as Perth had. Be shrew, my very heart. I think you are happy in the second match, for it exceeds your first. Or if it did not, your first is dead, or 'twere as good as he were, as living here, you no use of him.
Speakst thou from thy heart?
And from my soul too, else beshrew them both.
Amen.
What?
Well, thou hast comforted me marvelously much. Go in and tell my lady I am gone, having displeased my father to Lawrence cell, to make confession and to be absolved.
Mary, I will, and this is wisely done.
Ancient damnation, O most wicked fiend, is it more to sin to wish thus forsworn? Or is it to dispraise my lord with the same tongue, which she hath praised him with above compare so many 1,000 times? Go, counselor, thou and for my bosom henceforth shall be twain. I'll to the friar to know his remedy, and if all else fails, have myself the power to die.
On Thursday, sir? Time is very short.
My father Capulet will have it so, and I am nothing slow to slack his haste.
You say you do not know the lady's mind. Uneven is the course. I like it not.
Immoderately she weeps for Tybalt's death, and therefore have I little talked of love, for Venus smiles not in a house of tears. Now, sir, her father counts it dangerous that she doth give her sorrow so much sway, and in his wisdom hastes our marriage to stop the inundation of her tears, which, too much minded by herself alone, may be put from her by society. Now, do you know the reason of this haste?
I would I knew not why it should be slowed. Look, sir, here comes the lady toward my cell.
Happily met, my lady and my wife.
That may be, sir, when I may be a wife.
That maybe must be love on Thursday next.
What must be shall be.
That's a certain text.
Come you to make confession to the friar?
To answer that, I should confess to you.
Do not deny to him that you love me.
I will confess to you that I love him.
So will you. I am sure that you love me.
So if I do so, it would be more of a price, being spoke behind your back rather than your face.
Poor soul, thy face is much abused with tears.
The tears that have got small victory, but by that, for it was bad enough for their spite.
Thou wrongst it more than tears with that report.
That is no slander, sir, which is the truth. And what I spack it to my face.
Thy face is mine, and thou hast slandered it.
It may be so, for it is not my own. Are you at leisure, Holy Father, now? Or shall I come to you at evening mass?
My leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. My lord, we must entreat the time alone.
God shield, I should disturb devotion. Juliet, on Thursday early, I will rouse you. Till then, adieu. And keep this holy kiss.
Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, come weep with me past hope, past cure, past help.
Juliet, I already know thy grief, and it strains me past the compass of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next be married to this county.
Tell me not, friar, thou best heardst of it, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution. With this knife, I'll help it presently. God join my heart and Romeo's. Thou's hands, and ere this hand by thee to Romeo sealed, shall be the label to another deed. Or my true heart with a treacherous revolt turn to another, this shall slay them both. Therefore, out thy long experience time, give me some present counsel, or behold, twixt my extremes and me, this bloody knife, shall play an umpire arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could no issue be of true honor bring, be not so long to speak. I long to die, if thou speaks not of remedy.
Hold, daughter, I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate an execution as that is desperate which we would prevent. If rather than marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then it is likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away the shame that copes with death himself, to escape from it. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy.
Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of any tower, or any thievish ways, or bid me lurk where serpents are. Oh, chain me with the roaring bears, or hide me nightly in a charnel house, or covered quite with dead men's rattling bones, with reeky shanks and yellow chapless skulls, or bid me into a new-made grave and hid me with a dead man in his shroud. Things that, to hear them told, have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my sweet love.
Hold then. Go home. Be merry. Give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone. Let not thy nurse lie with thee in my chamber. Take thou this vial, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor, drink thou off. Then presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor, for no pulse shall keep his native progress, but surcease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to paly ashes. Thy eyes' windows fall like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part, deprived of supple government, shall stiff and stark and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 42 hours, and then awake, as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou, dead. And then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes, uncovered on the bier, thou shalt be borne to that same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, shall Romeo, by my letters, know our drift, and hither shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. And this shall free thee from thy present shame, if no one inconstant toy, nor womanish fear abate thy valor in the acting it.
Give it. Oh, tell me not of fear.
Hold. Get you gone. Be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua with my letters to thy lord.
Lord, give me strength, and strength shall help me forward. Farewell, dear father.
So many guests invite as are here writ. Sirrah, go hire me 20 cunning cooks.
You shall have none ill, sir, for I'll try if they can lick their fingers.
How canst thou try them so?
Marry, sir, 'tis an ill cook that cannot lick his own fingers. Therefore, he that cannot lick his fingers goes not with me.
Go, be gone. Shall be much unfurnished for this time. What is my daughter gone to Friar Lawrence?
I forsooth.
Well, me a chance to do some good on her. A peevish, self-willed harlotry it is.
See where she comes from shrift with merry look.
How now, my headstrong? Where have you been gadding?
Where I have learned to repent the sin of a disobedient opposition to you and your behest, and I am enjoyed by holy lords to fall prostrate here to beg your pardon. Pardon, I beseech you. Henceforth, I am ever ruled by you.
Send for the county! Go, tell him of this. I'll have this knot knit up tomorrow morning.
I met the youthful lord at Lord's cell and gave him what become love I might, not stepping over bounds of modesty.
Why, I'm glad on't. This is well. Stand up. This as should be. Let me see the county. I marry. No, go, I say, and fetch him hither. Now, before God, this reverend, holy friar, all our whole city is much bound to him.
Nurse, will you go with me into my closet to help me sort such needful ornaments as you think fit to furnish me tomorrow?
No, not till Thursday. There is time enough. Go, nurse, go with her. We'll to church tomorrow. I will stir about, and things shall be, well, I warrant thee. Go thou to Juliet, help to deck up her. I'll not to bed tonight, let me alone. I'll play the housewife for this once. What ho! They are all forth. Well, I will walk myself to County Paris to prepare him up against tomorrow. Oh, my heart is wondrous light, since this same wayward girl is so reclaimed.
Aye, those attires are best. But gentle nurse, I pray thee, leave me to myself tonight, for I need many orisons to move the heavens to smile upon my state, which, well, thou'st know is cross and full of sin.
What? Are you busy? Need you my help?
No, madam, we have called such necessities as behoved of our state tomorrow, so please let me be left alone, and let the nurse this night sit up with you, for I'm sure you have your hands full all in this sudden business.
Good night. Get thee to bed and rest, for thou hast need.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear thrills through my veins, almost freezes up the heat of life. I call them back again to comfort me. Oh, nurse, what should I do here? My small scene I must act alone. Vile. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No, I forbid it. Lie thou there. And what if be poison which friars suddenly have ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonored because he married me before to Romeo? I fear it is, and yet methinks it should not. For hath he still been tried a holy man? How if when I'm laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come redeem me? There's a fearful point. Shall I not be stifled in the vault? To whose foul mouth to know hellsome air breathes in, and there dies the strangled ere my Romeo comes? Or if I live, it is not like the horrible conceit of dead and night, together with the terror of place as in the vault and ancient receptacle where for many hundreds of years the bones of all my buried ancestors are packed. Where bloody Tybalt, yet but green in earth, lies festering in his shroud. Where they say at some hours in the night, spirits resort. Lack. It is not like that. So early waking with some loathsome smells and shrieks of mandrake torn out of the earth, that living mortals, hearing them run mad. Or if I wake, shall I not be distraught? Environed with all these hideous fears and madly play with forefathers' joints and pluck the mangled Tybalt from his shroud, and in this rage with some great kingsman bone, as with a club dash out. With desperate brains. Oh, look, methinks I think a cousin ghost seeking out Romeo that did spit his body upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tybalt, stay. Romeo, I come. This dew, I drink thee.
Hold, take these keys and fetch more spices, nurse.
They call for dates and quinces in the pastry.
Come, stir, 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 the second cock hath crowed, the curfew bell hath rung, 'tis 3 o'clock. Look to the baked meats, good angelic, despair not for the cost.
Go you, Kotkin, go you to bed, faith. You'll be sick tomorrow for this night's watching.
Oh, not a whit. What, I have watched ere now all night for lesser cause. I ne'er been sick.
Aye, you have been a mouse hunt in your time, but I will watch you from such watching now.
A jealous hood, a jealous hood. Now, fellow, what is there?
Things for the cook, sir, but I know not what.
Yeah, make haste, make haste. Sirrah, fetch drier logs. Call Peter, he will show thee where they are.
I have a head, sir, that will find out logs. And never trouble Peter, for that matter.
Mass and well said, a merry horse, and thou shalt be loggerhead. Good faith, 'tis day. Oh, the county will be here with music straight, for so he said he would. Oh, I hear him near. Nurse, wife, what ho? What, nurse, I say? Go waken Juliet, go trim her up. I'll go and chat with Paris. Hi, make haste, make haste. The bridegroom has come already. Make haste, I say.
Mistress, what mistress, Juliet? Fast, I warned her she. Why, lamb, why, lady, fie, you slug a bed. Why, love, I say. Madam, sweetheart, why, bride. What, not a word? You take your penny's worth now, sleep for a week, for the next night, I warrant. The County Paris hath set up his rest, that you shall rest but little. God forbid me, marry and amen. How sound asleep is she? I must needs wake her. Madam, madam, madam. Aye, let the county take you in your bed. He'll fright you up in faith, will it not be? What, dressed and in your clothes and down again? I needs must wake you, lady, lady, lady. Alas, alas, help, help, my lady's dead. Oh, where a day that ever I was born. Some aquavita, oh, my lord, my lady.
What noise is here?
Oh, lamentable day.
What is the matter?
Look, look, oh, heavy day.
Oh, me, my child, my only life. Revive. Look up, or I will die with thee. Help, help, call help.
For shame, bring Juliet forth. Her lord is come.
She's dead, deceased. She's dead.
Alack the day, she's dead. She's dead. She's dead.
Let us see her. Out, alas. She's cold. Her blood is settled and her joints are stiff. Life and these lips have long been separated. Death lies on her like an untimely frost upon the sweetest flower of all the field.
Oh, lamentable day.
Oh, woeful time.
Death that hath ta'en her hence to make me wail ties up my tongue and will not let me speak.
Oh, miss, the bride ready to go to church?
Ready to go, but never to return. Oh, son, the night before thy wedding day hath death lain with thy wife. There she lies, flower as she was, deflowered by him. Death is my son-in-law. Death is my heir. My daughter he hath wedded. I will die and leave him all. Life, living, all is death's.
Have I thought long to see this morning's face? And death to give me such a sight as this?
Cursed, unhappy, wretched,
Hated,
day.
martyred, killed, uncomfortable time. Why camest thou now to murder us?
Detestable
Oh, child, my soul, not my child. Art thou lack my child is dead, and with joys are buried.
Peace, peace, oh, for shame. Confusion's cure lives not in these confusions. Heaven and yourself had part in this fair maid. Now heaven hath all, and all the better is it for the maid. Your part in her you could not keep from death, but heaven keeps his part in eternal life. The most you sought was her promotion, for 'twas your heaven she should be advanced, and weep you now, seeing she is advanced above the clouds, as high as heaven itself? Oh, in this love, you love your child so ill that you run mad, seeing that she is well. She's not well married that lives married long, but she's best married that dies married young. Dry up your tears. Stick your rosemary on this fair course, as the custom is, and in all her best array, bear her to church. For though fond nature bids us all lament, yet nature's tears are reason's merriment.
All things that we ordained festival turn from their office to black funeral. Our instruments to melancholy bells, our wedding cheer to a sad burial feast. Our solemn hymns to sullen dirges change. Our bridal flowers serve for a buried corse, and all things change them to the contrary.
Sir, go you in, and madam, go with him. And go, Sir Paris, everyone, prepare to follow this fair course unto her grave. The heavens do lower upon you for some ill, move them no more by crossing their high will.
Faith, we may put up our pipes and be gone.
Honest good fellows, put up. For well you know this is a pitiful case.
Aye, by my troth, the case may be amended.
Musicians, oh musicians, heart's ease, heart's ease. Oh, and you will have me live play heart's ease.
Why heart's ease?
Musicians, because my heart itself plays, my heart is full of woe. Oh, play me some merry dump to comfort me.
Not a dump we, 'tis no time to play now.
Oh, you will not then.
No.
I'll give it to you soundly.
What will you give us?
No money on my faith. But the Gleek, I will give you the minstrel.
And I will give you the serving creature.
Oh, then I will lay the serving creature's dagger on your pate. I will carry no crotchets. I'll ray you. I'll fly you. Do you note me?
And you ray us and fa us, you note us. Pray you put up your dagger and put out your wit.
Then have you with my wit. I will dry beat you with an iron wit, and I put up my iron dagger. Answer me like men. When gripping griefs the heart doth wound, and doleful dumps the mind oppress, then win her music silver sound. Why silver sound? Why music with her silver sound? What say you, Simon Catling?
Marry, sir, because silver hath a sweet sound.
What say you, Hugh Reddock?
I say silver sound because musicians sound for silver.
Right too. What say you, James? What's Soundpost?
Faith, I know not what to say.
Oh, I cry you mercy. You are the singer. I will say for you, it is music with her silver sound, because musicians have no gold for sounding. Then the music with her silver sound, with speedy help doth lend the redress.
The pestilent knave is the same.
Hang him, Jack. Come all in here, tarry for the mourners, and stay dinner.
If I may trust the flattering truth of sleep, my dreams presage some joyful news at hand. My bosom's lord sits lightly in his throne, and all this day an unaccustomed spirit lifts me above the ground with cheerful thoughts. I dreamt my lady came and found me dead. Strange dream that gives a dead man leave to think. And breathed such life with kisses in my lips that I revived and was an emperor. Ah me, how sweet is love itself possessed, but when love's shadows are so rich in joy. Oh, news from Verona! Oh, how now, Balthazar? Dost thou not bring me letters from the friar? How doth my lady? Is my father well? Where's my Juliet? Then I ask again, for nothing can be ill if she is well.
Then she is well, and nothing can be ill. Her body sleeps in Capel's monument, and her immortal part with angels lives. I saw her laid low in her kindred's vault, and presently took post to tell it to you. Oh, pardon me for bringing these ill news, since you did leave it for my office, sir.
Is it indeed so? Then I defy you, Stars. Thou knowest my lodging. Get me ink and paper and hire post horses. I will hence tonight.
I do beseech you, sir, have patience. Your looks are pale and wild, and do import some misadventure.
Tush, thou art deceived. Leave me and do the thing I bid thee do. Hast thou no letters for me to the friar?
No, my good lord.
No matter. Get thee gone, and hire those horses. I'll be with thee straight. Oh, Juliet, I will lie with thee tonight. Let's see for means. Oh, mischief, thou art swift to enter the thoughts of desperate men. I do remember an apothecary, and hereabout he dwells, which late I noted in tattered weeds, with overwhelming brows, culling of simples. Meager were his looks. Sharp misery had worn him to the bones. And in his needy shop a tortoise hung, an alligator stuffed, and other skins of ill-shaped fishes, and about his shelves a beggarly account of empty boxes, green earthen pots, bladders, and musty seeds, remnants of packthread and old cakes of roses, were thinly scattered to make up a show. Noting his penury, to myself I said, and if a man did need a poison now, whose sale is present death in Mantua, here lives a caitiff wretch that would sell it him. Oh, this same thought did but forerun my need, and this same needy man must sell it to me, as I remember, this should be the house. Being holiday, the beggar's shop is shut. But ho, apothecary!
Who calls so loud?
Come hither, man. I see that thou art poor. Hold, there is 40 ducats. Let me have a dram of poison. Such soon speeding gear as will disperse itself through all the veins, that the life weary taker may fall dead, and that the trunk may be discharged to breath as violently as hasty powder fired doth hurry from fatal cannon's womb.
Such mortal drugs I have, but Mantua's law is death to any he that utters them.
Art thou so bare and full of wretchedness as fierce to die? Famine is in thy cheeks, need and oppression starveth thy eyes, contempt and beggary hangs upon thy back. The world is not thy friend, nor the world's law. The world affords no law to make thee rich, then not be poor, but break it and take this.
My poverty, but not my will, consents.
I pay thy poverty, not thy will.
Put this in any liquid thing you will, and drink it off. And if you had the strength of 20 men, it would dispatch you straight.
There is thy gold, worse poison to men's souls, doing more murder in this loathsome world than these poor compounds that thou mayst not sell. I sell thee poison. Thou hast sold me none. Farewell. Write food and get thyself in flesh. Come, cordial, and not poison, go with me to Juliet's grave, for there I must use thee.
Holy Franciscan friar, brother ho!
This same should be the voice of Friar John. Welcome from Mantua. What says Romeo? Or if his mind be writ, give me his letter.
Going to find a barefoot brother out, one of our order, to associate me, here in the city visiting the sick and finding him, the searchers of the town, suspecting that we both were in a house where the infectious pestilence did reign, sealed up the doors and would not let us forth, so that my speed to Mantua there was stayed.
Who bare my letter then to Romeo?
I could not send it. Here it is again. Nor get a messenger to bring it thee. So fearful were they of infection.
Unhappy fortune. By my brotherhood, the letter was not nice, but full of charge of dear import, and the neglecting it may do much danger. Friar John, go hence, get me an iron crow, and bring it straight into my cell.
Brother, I'll go and bring it thee.
I will side of the monument alone. Within 3 hours will fair Juliet wake, and she will beshrew me much that Romeo hath had no notice of these accidents. But I will write again to Mantua, and keep her at my cell till Romeo come. Poor living corpse, closed in a dead man's tomb.
Give me thy torch, boy. Hence, and stand aloof. Yet put it out, for I would not be seen. Under yon yew tree, lay thee all along, holding thy ear close to the hollow ground, so shall no foot upon the churchyard tread, being loose, unfirm, with digging up of graves, but thou shalt hear it. Whistle then to me as signal that thou seest something approach. Give me those flowers. Do as I bid thee, go.
I am almost afraid to stand alone. Here in the churchyard. Yet I will adventure.
Sweet flower, flowers thy bridal bed I strew. Oh, woe! Thy canopy is dust and stones, which with sweet water nightly I will do, or wanting that with tears distilled by moans. The obsequies I that I for thee will weep, nightly shall be to strew thy grave and weep.
Whistle, whistle.
The boy gives warning, something doth approach. What cursed foot wanders this way tonight, to cross my obsequies and true love's right? What, or the torch? Muffle me night a while.
Give me that mattock and the wrenching iron. Hold, take this letter. Early in the morning, see thou deliver it to my lord and father. Give me the light. Upon my life I charge thee, whatever thou hearest or seest, stand all aloof, and do not interrupt me in my course. For I descend into this bed of death, is partly to behold my lady's face, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger the precious ring, a ring I must use in dear employment. Therefore hence be gone. But if thou, jealous, dost return to pry, and what I further shall intend to do, by heaven, I will tear thee joint by joint, and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limbs. The time and my intents are savage wild, more fierce and more inexorable far than empty tigers or roaring sea.
I will be gone, sir, and not trouble ye.
So shalt thou show me friendship? Take thou that. Live and be prosperous, and farewell, good fellow.
For all this same, I'll hide me hereabout. His looks I fear, and his intents I doubt.
Thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth. Thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and in despite I'll cram thee with more food.
This is that banished, haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed the fair creature died. And here is come to do some villainous shame to the dead bodies. I will apprehend him. Stop! Thou unhallowed toil, vile Montague! Can vengeance be pursued further than death? Condemned villain, I do apprehend thee. Obey! Go with me, for thou must die!
I must indeed, and therefore I came hither. Good gentle youth, tempt not a desperate man. Fly hence, and leave me. Think upon these gone. Let them affright thee, I beseech the youth. Put not another sin upon my head by urging thee to fury. Oh, be gone! By heaven, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. Stay not. Be gone. Live, and hereafter say, a madman's mercy bade thee run away.
I do defy thy commendation and apprehend thee for a felon here.
Thou provoke me, then have at ye, boy.
Oh, Lord, they fight! I will go call the watch.
You're muted.
Muted, Paris, you're muted. Oh no.
If thou be merciful, open the tomb and lay me with Juliet.
In faith, I will. Let me peruse his face. Mercutio's kinsman, noble County Paris. What said my man when my besought soul did not attend him as we rode? I think he told me Paris should have married Juliet. Did he not so? Did I not dream it so? Or am I mad hearing him talk of Juliet to think it was so? Oh, give me thy hand. One writ with me in sour misfortune's book. I'll bury thee in a triumphant grave. A grave? Oh no. A lantern slaughtered youth. But here lies Juliet, and her beauty makes this vault a feasting presence full of light. Death, lie thou there by a dead man interred. How oft when men are at the point of death, when they've been merry, which their keepers call a lightning before death. Oh, how may I call this a lightning? Oh, my love, my wife. Death has sucked the honey from my breath. Hath had no power yet upon thy beauty, thou art not conquered. Beauty ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks, and death's pale flag is not advanced there. Tybalt, liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? Oh, what more favor can I do to thee than with that hand that cut me in thy youth in twain, to sunder that is thine enemy? Forgive me, cousin. Oh, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that, I will stay with thee. I will never from this palace of dim night depart again. Here will I remain with worms that are thy chambermaids. Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from this world-wearied flesh. Eyes, your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, oh, you the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct. Come, unsavory guide. Thou desperate pilot, now at once run on. The dashing rocks thy seasick weary bark. Here's to my love. Oh, true apothecary. Thy drugs are quick. Us with a kiss. I die.
St. Francis, be my speed. How oft tonight have my old feet stumbled at graves? Who's there?
Here's one, a friend, and one that you know well.
Bliss be upon you. Tell me, good friend, what torch is yon that vainly lends its light to grubs and eyeless skulls? As I discern, it burneth in the Capel's monument.
That's so, holy sir. And there's my master, one that you love.
Who is it?
Romeo.
How long have he been there?
For half an hour.
Go with me to the vault.
I dare not, sir. My master knows not, but I am gone hence, and fearfully did menace me with death if I did stay to look on his intents.
Stay then, I'll go alone. Fear comes upon me. Much I fear some ill unthrifty thing.
As I did sleep under this yew tree here, I dreamt my master and another fought, and that my master slew him.
Romeo? Alack, what blood is this? It stains the stony entrance of the sepulchre. What mean these masterless and gory swords to lie discolored by this place of peace? Romeo? Oh, pale. Who else? What, Paris too? And steeped in blood. What an unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance. The lady stirs.
Oh, comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do remember where I should be, and there I am. Where's Romeo?
I hear some noise. Lady, come from that nest of death, contagion, and unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. Come away. Thy husband in thy bosom lies there dead, and Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming.
What ho?
Come, go, good Juliet, I dare no longer stay.
Go, get thee hence, for I will not away. What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see. Hath been his timeless end. Hoped her and drunk all, but left no friendly drop to help me after. I will kiss thy lips. Happily some poison yet doth hang on them. Thy lips are warm.
Lead, boy, which way?
Ye noise? Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy dagger. This is my sheath. Oh, happy dagger. You there rest, and let me die.
This is the place. There, where the torch doth burn.
The ground is bloody. Search about the churchyard. Go, some of you, where you find attached. Pitiful sight. Here lies the county slain, and Juliet bleeding, warm and newly dead. Who here hath lain these 2 days buried? Go tell the prince. Run to the Capulets. Raise up the Montagues. Some other search. We see the ground whereon these woes do lie. But the true ground of all these piteous woes, we cannot without circumstance decry. Here's Romeo's man. We found him in the churchyard. Hold him in safety till the prince come hither.
Here is a friar that trembles, sighs, and weeps. We took this mattock and this spade from him as he was coming from this churchyard side.
A great suspicion. Stay the friar too.
What misadventure is so early up that calls our person from our morning rest?
What should it be that they so shriek abroad?
The people in the street cry Romeo, some Juliet, and some Paris, and all run with open outcry toward our monument.
What fear is this which startles in our ears?
Sovereign, here lies the county Paris slain, and Romeo dead, and Juliet dead before, warm and new killed.
Search, seek, and know how this foul murder comes.
Here is a friar and slaughtered Romeo's man, with instruments upon them, fit to open these dead men's tombs.
Oh, heavens. Oh, wife, look how our daughter bleeds. This dagger hath mista'en, for lo, his house is empty on the back of Montague, and it missheathed in my daughter's bosom.
This sight of death is as a bell that warns my old age to a sepulchre.
Come, Montague, for thou art early up, to see thy son and heir now early down.
Alas, my liege, my wife is dead tonight. Grief of my son's exile hath stopped her breath. What further woe conspires against mine age?
Look, and thou shalt see.
O thou untaught, what manners is in this, to press before thy father to a grave?
Seal up the mouth of outrage for a while, till we can clear these ambiguities and know their spring, their head, and their true descent. And then will I be general of your woes, and lead you even to death. Meantime, forbear, and let mischance be slave to patience. Bring forth the parties of suspicion.
I am the greatest, able to do least, yet most suspected. There's a time and place doth make against me of this direful murder. And here I stand, both to impeach and purge myself condemned and myself excused.
Then say at once what thou dost know in this.
I will be brief, for my short date of breath is not so long as is a tedious tale. Romeo, their dead, was husband to that Juliet, and she, their dead, that's Romeo's faithful wife. I married them, and their stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday, whose untimely death banished the new-made bridegroom from the city, for whom, and not for Tybalt, Juliet pined. You, to remove that siege of grief from her, betrothed and would have married her perforce to County Paris. And then comes she to me, and with wild looks bid me devise some mean to rid her from this second marriage, or in my cell there would she kill herself. Then gave I her, so tutored by my art, a sleeping potion, which so took effect as I intended, for it wrought on her the form of death. Meantime, I writ to Romeo that he should hither come as this dire night to help to take her from her borrowed grave, being the time the potion's force should cease. But he which bore my letter, Friar John, was stayed by by accident, and yesternight returned my letter back. Then all alone at the prefixed hour of her waking came I to take her from her kindred's vault, meaning to keep her closely at my cell till I conveniently could send to Romeo. But when I came, some minute ere the time of her waking, here untimely lay the noble Paris and true Romeo dead. She wakes, and I entreated her, come forth and bear this work of heaven with patience. But then did a noise scare me from the tomb, and she, too desperate, would not go with me, but, as it seems, did violence on herself. All this I know. And to the marriage her nurse is privy, and if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law.
We still have known thee for a holy man. Where's Romeo's man? What can he say to this?
Brought my master news of Juliet's death, and then in post he came from Mantua to this same place, to this same monument. This letter he early bid me give his father, and threatened me with death. Going into the vault, I departed not and left him there.
Give me the letter, I will look on it. Where's the county's page that raised the watch? Sirrah, what made your master in this place?
He came with flowers to strew his lady's grave, and bid me stand aloof. So I did. Anon comes one with light to ope the tomb, and by my master drew on him. And then I ran away to call the watch.
This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of her death, and here he writes that he did buy a poison of poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die and lie with Juliet. Where be these enemies? Capulet, Montague, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate, that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love. And I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All are punished.
O brother Montague, give me thy hand. This is my daughter's jointure. No more can I demand.
But I can give thee more. For I will raise her statue in pure gold, that while Verona by that name is known, there shall no figure at such rate be set as that of true and faithful Juliet.
As rich shall Romeo's by his ladies lie, or sacrifices of our enmity.
A glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun, for sorrow, will not show its head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some punished. Whenever was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.